Hey everyone, welcome to Papa's Workshop. I just received this brand new 8-inch CUTECH spiral cutter head cast iron tabletop. This is going to be an amazing addition to the shop. I want to set it up today and test it out because this is ideal if you're going to be making some furniture, and that's something that I plan to do in some upcoming videos. Now, of course, the first thing we need to do is get it out of the box. And this thing is packed just amazingly well. Now, the first thing, it has a little small tool kit here. Inside the tool kit has the Allen wrenches and the little torque wrench, as well as a few parts. And then, of course, you're going to have the operations manual. Now we can actually get down to the machine itself. And basically, this machine is completely pre-assembled. The only thing we really need to do is take a look at these few little parts. And basically, this boils down to being able to put the fence on. And one of the things that I really like about this, it has a little stabilizing bar there that goes on each end of the fence, and that helps to prevent any slight movement. As far as the machine itself, very detailed, very well put together. I really like this machine. Cast iron table is absolutely phenomenal, and it is flat as can be, and that's a good thing. Inside of here you have the spiral cutter head. And these blades can be rotated. You have actually two different cutting surfaces here. And I like to have that because if you get one blade damaged, you can just pop it off and replace it. Of course, you can change the thickness that it cuts, and I like to be able to stay cutting very thin. The other nice feature about this, you do have these little knobs right here that you can just unscrew and extend this arm out. And that extends this now on both sides to give a very good solid platform to be able to run your material through. And of course, if you don't need all of this extra length, you can of course just close it up and keep it that way. Those little set screws at the bottom keep it where it will not slide. Let's move to the back side and install the fence. To start the assembly, I'm going to put this bracket on. Now these 4 screws were already pre-installed. This one actually had fallen out during shipment. But I'm going to remove all 4 of these now. And then I'm going to take this bracket. You can see the bracket has the holes in here. And these will just drop right into that. We'll drop that in there. We'll use this tool to be able to assemble this. And I'm just going to put the bottom left one in first and then do the top right. And that helps to get the alignment right, and it makes it easier to put the next 2 in. See, these 2 now will slip in without any difficulty at all and no alignment issues. As always, I like to put in all the screws first and keep them loose. Once all 4 are in, then I will tighten them, and that makes it a whole lot easier. Step 1 is completed. Now for the next step, I want to take this base that's mounted on here now and add this bracket to hold the fence. And this will just simply slip down and sit right on there. Now you have a square nut that just goes right on the bottom. Now there is a right and wrong way to put this nut in. It has to go in this direction to be able to fit into the slot underneath. So that way it'll slide in there perfectly. And then this will be able to slide right onto the bracket. And then that will slide freely. Then we'll take the washer, we'll put the washer down, and we'll put this little handle right down in there and be able to tighten it. And this is an easy adjustment. It holds it firmly in place. If we need to slide this forward, we can, and then tighten it again. So this is a very simple but effective way. And this was extremely tight, and I had to use a wrench to loosen it to be able to tighten this fence. So for now, I'm going to slide it back to here, have that completely out of the way, and just loosely tighten it for right now. Now these are spring-loaded, you'll notice, so that you can adjust these where they need to be. Now just because it came from the factory this tight, please do not tighten it this tight. All that's actually required is to be able to hand tighten it, and it will stay in place. This was way overdone. Now, the one thing that I don't like is these two handles will get in the way and hit. So if I'm loosening this, I'm constantly having to ratchet this back up to be able to get it out of the way of this one. Same thing, if I need to move and loosen this, I have to make sure that this is up high enough so that this will be able to allow the fence to slide inward. And then I can tighten it back. But if this happens to be down here, it's going to get in the way. So then you have to ratchet, and sometimes it's a little bit tricky to be able to get it out of the way. So that's the one negative that I have with this tool. I'm going to slide this back, tighten it, and I'll tighten this. Whoops, I'm going to have to use the ratchet because I was hitting the top of this, and then tighten the rest of it. You do have some set screws here that you can adjust this fence to be able to make sure that it's perfectly 90-degree angle. Now this next step, I have this little track right here on the fence that these little square head nuts need to slide in on. And again, there's a specific way they have to be put in. And you can see how this is not round. So that will slide in just like this. Then I'll put the second one in. And I can slide these over toward the middle of the fence. And with these two screws, they'll go in right here. And I'll get the second one started. Now once again, I'm only putting these screws in loose. This allows me to be able to slide the fence left and right. It also allows me to be able to get to that little T-nut to be able to get the alignment for that second screw to go in. Once I have both of them started, then I can tighten them. And I can tighten them up. So that has the fence now installed. Now, one thing that you want to do before you get this finally set, make sure you slide this over so that this little arch is centered over the blades themselves. And then tighten it up on the back side. Now you have something new on this joiner that you did not have on the other one. And this is a bracket that we're going to put on each end of the fence. And what that does is provide additional support so that there's absolutely no movement on that fence. And to do this, I'm just going to screw these in to begin with. And then we're going to put this bracket right down here. And there's two of them, one on this side and one over on the other side. And it'll be mounted right here. And what I'm going to do is just screw these down so I have enough room to put this bracket on. Now that gives me plenty of room. I'll take these two screws and put them in. And we'll put the second screw in place. Now with this tight, I can now make the adjustments on this. This needs to unscrew and put pressure right up to the fence. And down here, the same thing. This is a bevel portion of the fence, and this will come right up to that point. Then I have these that will screw on and basically lock it in place. And that provides a very solid fence that this is now not going to move. And that was one of the problems that had happened on some of the previous models. This enhancement is going to stabilize that fence so there's absolutely no movement. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the other bracket on the other end of this machine the same way. So we start out by screwing these in to begin with. Now we'll tighten this back to the fence. Doesn't need a whole lot. Just enough so it puts just a little bit of pressure on it. And we'll put the lock nut on. And that's it. That makes this fence extremely stable. Now this dust port will take a 4-inch hose, and you have the adapter that brings it down to 2.5 inches. Now with this adapter installed, I can just take the shop vac hose and plug it right in, and I'm ready. Now if I want to use the central vacuum, then I'll take out the adapter and I'll just put the 4-inch hose on here, and the central vacuum will take care of the sawdust. One of the nice features that you have on this joiner is the ability to change this fence and adjust the angle. It doesn't need to stay at the 90 degrees. So I can loosen this little arm right there and then pivot this fence. And of course, I can lower this down, back down, so that the fence will touch the tabletop itself to provide the stability that you need when you're running the material through. Because you have such a wide range of angles to be able to choose from, let me show you a couple of ways that I set the machine up. Now I use the digital gauge to be able to set the angle. This works real well with the cast iron tabletop, but when you switch it over here, this is aluminum and it's not going to stick. So you are going to have to manually hold this while you set the angle to get the angle correct. So just be aware of that. So once you have the angle established, just tighten it back up, and you can still use the stabilizing arms on the end to tighten up that as well. Of course, you can use this to be able to set it, or you can use a speed square to set this back at 90 degrees. So either way, this will work real well. If I look at that, that is absolutely perfect. There's no gap in there at all. That's perfectly 90 degrees. That was set with these set screws at the factory. I'm just going to tighten that back in place. One of the things that I want to point out too, I can use this triangle to set up any particular angle that I want to be able to have. Tighten that down, set that on there, and then align this portion of the fence to this angle, and that will give me the angle right there that is set. So that is another way to be able to do it and have it very accurate. Now these triangles, of course, are typically used in mechanical drawing, but I have used these for years in the shop, and they are, to me, invaluable tools. Now that I know that this is perfectly 90 degrees, I'll slide these screws back into place to stabilize the fence. Tighten that down, and I'm ready to make the first cut. To set the amount that you're cutting, all you need to do is just unscrew this lock screw, and then you can change this height of this to be able to cut more or less at one pass. Now I like to be able to keep it very shallow. This is set at 1/64 of an inch, and that's good. I like to be able to take very small passes and just do more of them. And when I get it set to the right amount, then I can just tighten that down. You also have the safety feature here that this yellow tab will come out. That way this will not turn on. So now it's back active and I can turn it on, and I had just plugged this in, so now I can turn this unit on. With the safety plug out, this will not turn on. Very important, especially if you have small children, and quite frankly, even for the adults, I think it's wise to be able to secure this in a separate location. And when I build the cabinet, I'm going to put this in the drawer right below it, and that way it will not be in here, but yet it will be safe and I won't lose it. And please make sure that whenever you finish working with this, unplug this machine, and don't forget, take the little yellow safety tab out and store it safely, because this machine can be very dangerous and you need to exercise extreme caution. One thing I want to point out, they have a little 1 right here on each of the blades. So as these blades get dull, you can rotate these 90 degrees, and you have 2 cutting surfaces, a cutting surface here and then a cutting surface here. This is a flat portion, as well as this being a flat portion that sits directly into this little groove, and that way it seats and it'll make sure that it's cutting exactly where it needs to. And these blades, this is a spiral cutting head. Now remember, this is off. You can see the other set of blades here. And if I rotate this around again, you'll see another set of blades. And here's a set. So you have the blades all the way around. And the good thing about it is, should you damage any of these blades, or as they get dull, all you need to do is be able to rotate this 90 degrees, and you have a sharp cutting surface again. Never run the machine without having this guard in place. This is critical to be able to keep those fingers safe. You don't want to lose any fingers with this machine. So keep this guard in place. Make sure that you wear your eye protection and your hearing protection with this, and keep in mind, safety first whenever you're working around powered equipment. It's time now to test this out. So with the hearing protection and the eye protection on, we'll make the first cut with this new jointer. Make sure you use these push sticks to be able to guide the material through. Again, please keep in mind, safety first on any of the operations. I don't know how well you can see that in the camera, but that is just beautiful. You don't even need to sand that. Let me do this top edge because this is actually fairly rough, and I have some little holes down here that pencil marks that I had put in there. So let's see how this does. Again, you can look at that. That is just beautiful. I can do the same thing to this side. We'll run that through. And again, that is just beautiful. You can take a look at that. You can see a nice sharp crisp edges, beautiful all the way around. Now I have it run this side and you can certainly see the difference. And after I finish, I do clean off the top of the head itself. And this is cast iron, so I put a light coat of oil on this just to be able to protect it. Be very careful around the blades because they are extremely sharp and you can get cut. I want to thank everybody for watching this video today. I really appreciate you coming along with me and seeing me assemble and test out this brand new CUTECH 8-inch spiral cutting head with the cast iron table. This is a much heavier jointer that is going to provide a lot of good stability, and I like the new feature that it has with the enhanced fence protection to keep it where it's rock solid. That's a nice feature. Now, I do have a link in the description below if you'd like to be able to check out their website and see the different products that they have, because they're pretty amazing tools. I've had another version of this in the shop now for a couple of years and absolutely love it. And you can check out those different videos that I've done using that tool in the shop. Well, it's time for an upgrade. Having a cast iron table on this joiner will make it much more solid and stable to be able to run the different pieces of material through this joiner. So again, thank you very much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you real soon in the next one. So for now, bye-bye. Can't wait to see you in the next video.